I call the July 10th, 2018 Riverton City Finance Committee meeting to order at 6:45 p.m. The chair would entertain a motion for the consideration of claims.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move for consideration of claims to be paid in the amount of $466,600.25, manual checks in the amount of $55,004.42, payroll and liabilities for June 22nd, 18 in the amount of $470,303.85 for a total of $991,908.52.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion? No? Then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. And then do we have any further business?
No, ma'am. We have no additional items for you this evening.
Okay, thank you. Okay, meeting adjourned.
Regular meeting of the Riverton City Council to order at 7 p.m. Would Councilmember Larson lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and after that, Councilmember Hancock will offer an invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for the opportunity to meet together and discuss the business of the city. We ask that it please help us this evening, that we will be able to have our minds enlightened as to the needs of the citizens, and we will be able to have the ability to discover what will best serve and provide the way of life that everybody in our great city has come to expect and would like to see in the future. We thank Thee very much for all of our many blessings, and we ask these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Thank you. Would the Deputy City Clerk please conduct the roll call?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilman Lance Godey.
Here.
Councilman Tim Hancock.
Here.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Here.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Here.
Councilman Sean Peterson.
Here.
Councilwoman Holly Gibbon. Here. Mayor John Baker.
I'm present. Declare that we have a quorum. The chair would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda as it's been presented.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the agenda for this evening. Any discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion passes. Communication from the floor, citizens' comments. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council regarding an item that is already on the agenda will be given an opportunity to speak later on. I would ask those individuals who wish to address the council at this time to approach the podium and identify yourselves for the record.
This is Jackie Dorothy. She's our marketing director. I'm Jim Conrad, manager of Wind River Casino. We're mostly wanting to come and thank you in helping us out with our rodeo. It was our first rodeo. I've left programs with each of you. The prize money for the contestants was $50,000. The rodeo that they have here for Riverton is $20,000. We had just a little less than 400 contestants. It turned out really well. We appreciate being able to open up the alcohol sales where it was more in the full area and not just in a pen. That worked out, I thought, very good for us. We're right now tentatively scheduling next year, similar, around Father's Day. We have a meeting August 7th, so I imagine after that meeting we'll know more what we're going to do and try to incorporate and let more people know about it. We had pretty good participation in the stands. I don't know exactly how many, but the stands were at least 3/4 full. And the contestants and the animals were all great athletes, and it was enjoyable.
And Jim wants me to talk about what is coming up. So one of the things that we passed around was our calendar of events. It's how we kind of keep organized. We repeat a lot of different events. One of the events that we are repeating is going to be the Wyoming State Poker Championship, where we, I believe, brought in about over 300 poker players from around the state and in neighboring areas. One of the things I always stress is that with our Wyoming State Poker, we want a Wyoming night to win, because the first year someone from Montana won, the next year Colorado, then finally someone from Casper, Wyoming. So this year, again, we're expecting to be bringing in people from neighboring states, because it is a, what do they call that? It's part of the World Series of Poker, where we are recognized as a satellite poker game, and it's the only one in the state. And so that has been bringing in a lot of people. That's going to happen last weekend in July, so July 27th and 28th. Then the very next weekend, we're going to be bringing in more people again. It's with our car show, and our car show has been growing. Big shout out to Shannon Watts and all of his people at the Rebels Without a Cause. They've helped us learn a lot about car shows, but again, we're going to be bringing in a lot of people from out of the state. Shannon says he's been going to car shows as far away as Minnesota, Texas, talking to someone from Oregon, and they're going to be bringing in their cars and their revenue, which is what we want to continue to do, is to expand on what we're doing. We also have our regular giveaways that we do where we give back. And the other thing to talk about real quick, because Jim wanted me to talk about our economic impact on the area, and we're huge on sponsorships. That's part of what I do in marketing, is that we go out, and this rodeo was new because I was actually going out and asking for sponsorships. I've learned a lot. I know how to do it better now. And but we sponsor things all the way from the youth celebration, where the first Wednesday in August we will be giving away 2,500 backpacks full of supplies to all the children that come to that youth celebration from grades kindergarten all the way to 12th. It's been very popular, and it's very heartwarming to see people wearing our backpacks, these students going to school, and knowing that a lot of them wouldn't have all the school supplies they need. And this is something the Arapaho tribe has asked us to do, and I'm not even sure what our budget was on this, but I know it's been about $100,000 each time, and this is our 10th year. So we're looking at about $1 million spent just on the youth celebration alone. So one of the things that we do need to emphasize is just talk about what the casino has brought. I'm proud, of course, of the employment rate on the reservation. We went from 80% back when my reporter days to seeing it at 40% and less. And I know 40% is still a high number, but we've been striving to employ them. And then Jim could talk a little bit about the wellness department. I think it's important for you to know what we're doing on that frontier as well. We used to have a one-strike you're out. If you drug tested for either alcohol or drugs of any type on the job, you are automatically terminated. Now what happens is they're suspended, and you're then taken to our wellness department, and we have them in-house, and a counselor that is trained specifically for this, and they will put you on what they, what is that called, their program that they do. And as soon as you are compliant with that program and remain compliant, you will be on the schedule. As soon as you mess up once, don't show up for an AA meeting, don't show up for, you drug test wrong, then you're taken off the schedule, reevaluated, and our success rate has been better than the average.
Yeah, we have 70% of those who are in the program who attend their meetings, while as White Buffalo has 30%, because most of those are court ordered. So they go the first time, and then they really don't go until they're reminded by the court to go.
And Jim also makes all of us managers work with them. If you have anyone in the program, you're required to go to the AA meetings with your employees and to be there with them.
We also have, I think it's right at 60% of those who enter complete. So we have a lot of success stories. We have a lot of park rangers that have lived through the park and are, have had the job now for years and are very successful. But we're owned by the tribe, so we're trying to help tribal members, and it's been very successful. And the other thing I think is that you know, we're on the reservation, but, you know, it's not an island. There's nothing we really do that doesn't affect you or anything you do that doesn't affect us. And the other thing that, you know, has happened over the last probably 5 to 6 years is many of our managers and many of our employees have purchased homes and live within the area. And that's just a result of having an opportunity to have a job and to be able to take care of their family, and that will continue. You know, that's going to continue to happen. And a lot of it is just as a result of people having opportunities which they didn't get as much. And but anyway, we appreciate everything you guys do for us, and we'll continue to try to keep you informed of events that will affect the city and affect the housing. Like the car show, the town will be sold out, Lander will be sold out. They'll be all sold out because of that.
I believe our hotel is already sold out for the car show, and we're even looking at our comp rooms and trying to steal them away.
But
He won't let me.
the whole place is going to be, this one's big. We're bringing in a TV star. I don't know who he is, but
Dave Kindig.
Yeah, someone. So it's going to be a fun event to see, and so everybody's invited to come out and see. And thanks for everything you guys.
And do you have
done
any
for us.
questions or comments?
Mike?
Your Honor, we had really good compliments on the rodeo from the people that we saw in town that weekend, and I think it really turned out well, and everybody was very impressed. I had people tell me that they've been to, you know, PRCA rodeos in Las Vegas, and they've seen just as good a show here as they saw there. So I think it was a really great event, and I think it brought a lot of people to town, and so I think it was a good event for Riverton and for you guys. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. And now we can't say that we haven't, you know, that saying, your first rodeo. We survived it. All right, thanks.
Hey, thank you guys for coming. Would the Deputy City Clerk please read the consent agenda items by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, June 19th, 2018 regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, July 10th, 2018 Finance Committee meeting. Approval of the Finance Committee recommendations for July 10th, 2018. Approval of the Municipal Court report for the month of June 2018. Ordinance number 18-009, second reading, fencing. An ordinance amending Title 17 zoning to revise Chapter 17.16 general requirements, Section 17.16.050, fences, hedges, trees, and walls of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith and providing for an effective date. And an open container permit application for Bar 10 for the Friday night cruise on July 20th, 2018, in front of Bar 10 from 4 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Thank you. Are there any items that require further discussion?
Your Honor.
Go ahead, Holly.
Finance recommendation approval for claims to be paid in the amount of $466,600.25, manual checks in the amount of $55,004.42, and payroll liabilities for 6/22 of 18 in the amount of $470,303.85, for a total of $991,908.52.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Further discussion? Are you still with us, Sean?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Mayor votes aye and the motion passes. The next item is tree board appointments. Tammy Schroyer and Barb Yates. City Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. The current tree board has 2 vacancies, and we are lucky enough to have 2 applicants. We have received letters of interest from Tammy Schroyer and Barb Yates. I believe Barb Yates is in the audience today if you have any questions. These are 4-year terms to the tree board, and with the ability to be reappointed at the end of those terms. At this point, staff recommends that the mayor, with the concurrence of council, appoint Tammy Schroyer and Barb Yates to the terms, 2 4-year terms on the tree board to fill those vacancies.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to do that, to appoint Tammy Schroyer and Barb Yates to the tree board.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayor votes aye, and the motion passes. Thanks for coming, Barb. Thank you. Okay, I know we will benefit from your skills and talents and enthusiasm for having a beautiful town. Thank you. Okay. The next item of business is ordinance number 18-002, third and final reading, updating the city engineer references throughout the Riverton Municipal Code. Would the deputy city clerk please read ordinance number 18-002 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance 18-002 on third and final reading. An ordinance pertaining to all city engineer references throughout the Riverton Municipal Code and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 18-002 on third and final reading.
Your Honor, I would move that we approve ordinance 18-002 on third reading.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay. Would the deputy city clerk please conduct a roll call vote?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilman Lance Godey.
Aye.
Councilman Tim Hancock.
Aye.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Aye.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Yes.
Councilman Sean Peterson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Holly Gibbon.
Aye.
Mayor John Baker.
Aye. Motion passes. The second item tonight then is ordinance 18-007, third and final reading, updating city engineer references.
Just did that
Oh.
one.
Well, we got a. So this is really, we're updating the. Well, would the deputy city clerk please read ordinance number 18-007 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance 18-007 on third and final reading. An ordinance amending the zoning district map of the city of Riverton, Wyoming, designating the rezone of 3402 West Main Street to the city of Riverton, Fremont County, Wyoming, from residential R2-A to commercial highway C-H.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 18-007 by third and final reading.
Your Honor,
Mr. Bailey?
I will abstain from this item on the agenda.
Okay.
Your Honor, we move that ordinance 18-007, the rezone of parcel of land addressed as 3402 West Main Street from residence R-2A to commercial highway CH.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. I see some folks here, so I'm assuming that they would like to talk.
I'm Vanessa Dickinson. My property adjoins this property along its entire eastern boundary. And imagine my surprise when a year and a half ago we thought we had settled that we were going to keep this property zoned as it is, residential agricultural. And here we are again with the same old thing. I'll say I'm not for this at all. I know that Councilman Bailey is a good businessman. I can't imagine why he would buy this property and not have a plan for it, being a good businessman, unless he already has something on the burner. And maybe we did not want a truck supply company or a ranch supply, I don't remember what it was, located there. And unless he's contacted them or something like that and is going to sell it, I feel like I'm being sandbagged. I'm very upset about this. I was out of town at the last meeting. I'm sorry I wasn't able to be here. That property, historically, all of the frontage property, from the Maverick to the Canal Road, has always been residential, agricultural. We now have a church and a college on that side of the highway, one business, and it's for monuments. I don't understand why this piecemeal zoning is happening. Unless you are going to zone everything from the Maverick commercial all the way up, why this little piece of property? So I'm kind of upset about it. I'm a lot upset about it, to be honest. And some of you were on the council at that time and have listened to everybody speak about this. Across the street, we also are residential except for one business, all the way down to Majors. And, you know, unless the city wants to say, okay, we're going to make West Main Street look like North and South Federal, I think that this issue should be laid to rest. Thanks a lot for listening to me.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brent Pollard. I represent 3410 and 34 West Main Street, which also adjoins this property. Some of you probably remember me from last time when we defeated this issue. And for the record tonight, I vote no to the rezoning quests. And I have some comments also, which I won't be as probably nice as Vanessa. But I'm going to say it anyway, because it's the truth. 935 days ago, November 19th, 2015, at the Planning Commission meeting, Councilman Mike Bailey turned to his buddy Steve Beasley and said, and I quote, "If he," meaning me, "doesn't want Tractor Supply in his front yard, then I'll just buy it and stick him with some sixplexes." End quote. Now, isn't that grand that our councilman, now council president, has no better agenda but to spend the next 935 days prepping to stick it to a lifelong resident and a former classmate, class of 78. Approximately 910 days ago, following the defeat of the rezoning of this parcel of land at the December 15th, 2015 meeting, my family were approached by members of the realty community congratulating us on our victory. They said no one, and I mean no one, beats King George, the rezoning king. That's how he's known and spoke of in that community. They also warned us at that time to watch out, that he would get us back, and back hard. So look around you tonight. Who's sitting here doing just that? This rezoning is none other than revenge and the use of a public office for personal and financial gain, period. And I mean period. I have a question for everybody in this room tonight and anybody out there listening. Is anyone concerned or disgusted with the corruption that we have going on in Washington, D.C. with the DOJ and the FBI? And if you are, you should be just as concerned and even frightened by that exact same type of corruption going on right here in Riverton's government. I know I am, and in fact, I reached out to a police sergeant I know in another county to tell him that I was coming here tonight and what the deal was about this whole issue and what it entailed. And if anything unexpected happens to me or my family, that he would know who to take a good look at. It's that serious, folks. Even the Riverton Ranger is in on protecting this corruption. I called the Ranger after they published the rezone article on the front page of July 1st Sunday paper. I stated I wanted to clarify some of the statements written and give some opinions from the opposition. Some of the things that were written in that article were not true. The Ranger wanted nothing to do with the views from the public side. They only want readers to know what they and you want the public to know. It's fake news, folks. I have since promptly canceled my 34 years or so subscription to this very biased newspaper. And I have one big question. Why the exaggeration on the purchase date? You were quoted over a year ago. I have it right here, where the county received it 11/22/2017. I'm not very good at math, but that wasn't over a year ago. And I know why we're trying to hide that date. These guys aren't ever going to tell you. They've been bad, bad boys. So how deep does the swamp go? I fear it is much deeper than anyone might imagine here. So what am I left to do? I can't come here and make my complaints public like all of you claim you want the residents to do. Because if you do and you don't like it, then you're going to retaliate on the citizens and stick it to them. Stick it to them. Kind of like Peter Strzok, Lisa Page. Spent a long time getting us all together so we could do this again. I saw it coming. I knew it was coming. It all has to do with greed. So my only option is, folks, is to hit the city in its pocketbook. That means keeping tax money for goods and services of mine out of your pockets. So I am forced to buy everything out of town, out of county, and even out of state. So who's the real loser here? It's the local business community, folks. And whether you think so or not, people are doing this more and more all the time. People are getting real sick of this corrupt, dirty town. So maybe when the business owners finally feel the pinch, will we finally get people to stand behind the residents and support us on these issues? Option 2, move away. To which we will do. I will. I can't stand it here no more. 58 years. As soon as I get my personal obligations taken care of taking care of my family, we're out of this piece of crap. And it's not just me. I have a lot of friends that moved out of here before I did, and they said, get the hell out of there. And the people that get out of this crappy town never, ever want to come back. They are disgusted. And that's about all I have to say. I know, I got a little prize here. I know how butthurt George was for losing his crown. So I present you with your crown back as the rezoning king of Riverton, Wyoming. And I hope you're all really proud, because I'm not. That's all I have to say.
My name's Ed Griffith. I don't have a big speech or anything else, but my problem is this was for rezone for Tractor Supply. If it wasn't good enough for Tractor Supply, it isn't good enough for Bailey. As far as I'm concerned, he's on the board, George Piblick is on the board. I think there's a spot like lawyers. I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. And I think that I smell two rats. They got a tail that long. And it's that guy there and this guy here. That's all I have to say.
Well, I'm bringing up a wrong crowd here. My name is Louis Dickinson, and I am a property owner adjacent to that also property in question. And what gets me is all the vacant lots and buildings on Main and Federal. It's not like we're out of commercial property. And why do we need to change this piece of property that's primarily been residential all around there for years? And that's why if it was different, if we didn't have the commercial, didn't have the property, I would be all for it, but I don't see that we really need to change this. The only thing that I see that they're doing, Mike bought it for $100,000 and he's going to turn around and sell it for 5 or 6 or 10 times that amount. And I understand money-wise, and that's the only thing that gets me on the thing. So, thank you.
I'm Steve Dickinson, also right adjacent to the property. As he was saying, moving away, I did move away for 20 years. And that's always been my home. That property has been my home all my life. I knew it when the Barkwins owned that property. It was always a field. It was agricultural. I used to walk across that field to get off the bus. And that's why I came home, because I didn't want to live in Denver, Colorado. As my brother said, there is so much commercial property in this town right now for sale. Why do we need more for sale? There is no point in changing this into commercial property. I was raised on that property. I rode my pony to Jefferson School from that property with my mom following on the Cadillac. This is the way we want to raise our kids. Do we want to be Denver, Colorado? No. That's why we live here. When we go to Denver, we're like, how fast can I get out? There is no reason that should be a commercial piece of property. Housing is fine. We have no problem with that. That's, everywhere around there. If I built a gas station or a Tractor Supply and you lived on 8 Mile right next door to your property, and they put a highway right through your piece of property because it was zoned that way, would you like it? Any of you? Well, that's what it's going to do to our property. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Your Honor.
Kyle?
I have a question. Does CH, how does commercial highway CH fit this property? Can somebody read the zoning on that? How it's how it's tailored to this property, the conspiracy that supposedly is there. How is that possible? I mean, does it fit some description? George, do you have that? Is that okay for him to read?
Sure.
I'm George Piplica. So under your intended use and purpose for a district, it says the CH district will ordinarily be located along a numbered state or federal highway classified by a principal artery street. Density and intensity of that use may be considered high. Use in the districts are intended to be compatible with adjoining residential and commercial districts. So when we had that property listed for, I don't have the exact dates, over a year. It was listed prior to us for over a year prior to that. That's what we ran into as the residential part of it not being a sellable situation, that we couldn't get any development to buy it and develop it until the commercial opportunity came along. That commercial opportunity was, as these folks say, was defeated at that point in time for that choice, for whatever those reasons were. So,
ask you more questions.
Sure.
Go ahead.
How many people, what's the traffic pattern there? What's the number of traffic count or car count? Or
West Main, and it's in 900 feet of this property fronts the federal highway. It's a 3-acre piece. So the largest section of it fronts West Main Street. Okay.
But do you have numbers?
I believe west is 8,000 or 10,000 count, right in that range, 8 to 10. I don't want to be quoted knowing that exactly.
Your Honor, I can actually look up that traffic count if I can find it, but Mr. Piplica is correct that it's a high traffic count.
So it is, so by having a high traffic count, it's more. You wouldn't be riding a pony down it right now, would you?
Yeah, right across the road. Yeah. Right down Riverview and down Riverview. Yeah. Straight across to our driveway.
Right now it fronts the highway. It does front Dickens. And there's 2 houses, I believe, directly behind it.
Okay.
And there's a house, residential home, directly to the west of it.
Okay.
There's commercial right next door to it. There's commercial.
What's the commercial next door to it?
There's a warehouse that is owned, and then there's the next lot over is going to be your mortuary. And then across the street is Moore's Monument as well.
And those are all commercial?
Those are all commercial.
Your Honor, to answer the traffic count question, west of 8th Street on Main Street is 12,000.
That's even higher.
A day?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. So.
Your Honor.
Go ahead, Lance.
I'm not sure, again, who maybe to direct this, so anybody can answer it. The current commercial lots that are there now, were those rezoned to be commercial and at one time were residential 2A, or have they always been commercial? Does anybody have any idea of the history behind that?
I couldn't honestly answer that. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if they were, when they were rezoned.
One body shop was there, that's across the highway from us on the north, south side of the street. And there was a monument, business there, and I don't know how long it's been there, but it's now a different business. On our side of the street, where the monument building is now, it used to be a little house.
Your Honor, can you ask him to come to the microphone so I can hear him, please?
Yeah, Mrs. Dickinson, can you come up to the mic so that Sean Peterson, who's on the telephone, is trying to hear and he can't make you out.
I'm hard of hearing and I couldn't hear what he said.
So,
completely, but
okay.
Okay.
The question.
Originally, when we moved up there in 1961, the college was an alfalfa field.
Yes.
Herman had a trucking business where the Mormon church is now.
Yes.
Everything was residential, clear to the dash-in drive-in and the theater that was where Smith's is now, that whole acreage there. Owens was in business at that time, but he's moved since then. His son has, and they don't do any business there at all. Our business, we put it in there when we were taken into the city limits. We had backhoes and did ditching and digging, and we just parked our equipment there. I mean, we didn't have a lot of traffic or anything on it. And so we were grandfathered in to have that garage that we worked on our equipment in. And the rest of it was, it had been agricultural, and it was zoned residential agricultural when they took our 25 acres. And our property at that time extended from the college dorms up to, on the east side, up to where it is right now on the west side. So there were not a lot of businesses ever up there. And there was some vacant land on the other side of the street. I know they've built houses there. All of the houses that are on our side of the street were existing, except for Brett's property up there. That used to be a tree farm. This property in question was a tree farm. And the people that owned it were quite elderly, and when Saratoga built some big golf course or something down there, they came and they bought all of his trees out, and it's been pasture ever since then, or hay. And so that's the history of what this property's been. It's been residential, agricultural, with businesses with very low traffic volume. Not too many people go in and out of the Monument Place or the other place across the street. I see very little traffic there. And it's one of the houses that was built later on, I think in the maybe 60s or 70s, is now was a law office for a while, but now it's insurance company. That's it. That's the history. So historically, property has been what it is. And I know that when the property, I think it was what, 300 and some thousand when they first offered it?
We started at 250, before house.
Okay. And I know that an offer for 130 was supposed to go in, but they lost the paperwork. And that was Van. He's got a shop that sits on the very east end, the furthest of that property.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know. It used to be part of the 4 acres that we're talking about. And Van just stores his toys in it.
Yes, and he purchased that from the current owner of that piece of ground? Or?
No, he bought that years ago. And I don't know who owned the property at the time when he purchased it. And I think Van wanted to buy this property from the estate that was offering it for sale. But he apparently, the paperwork got lost, and Bailey's were able to purchase it for $100,000, something in that area. So it seemed like it was strange that the paperwork got lost.
I have a question for Mrs. Dickinson.
Yes.
Is there, so are you just wanting this land to remain vacant?
No, but I feel like we should have a say in what kind of business goes in there. And since they say they have no idea what kind of business, Mr. Bailey said, Councilman Bailey says that he doesn't know what kind of business, he just has no plans for it. I kind of doubt that, and I think you should too. They're very good businessmen. So
your concern is more so a high-traffic kind of business going there?
Yeah, the Tractor Supply Company that would go in there would yes.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to, I don't know, Arby's or McDonald's or something going in up there. And I know at one time, Jack Larson had property right there on the corner of, and I think the Larsons may still own the property, on the corner of Hill Street and Main on the south side of the street.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack had wanted to put in, I think it was some kind of a fast food place. And the college had a fit. Said, well, it would block their view. And that's never been brought up again. And it's been used for pasture since then.
I guess, if it's okay, Mayor.
Go ahead.
So up until now, there's not been any demand for this as a residential property. Nobody's bought it. It's vacant. There's nothing being done there. Am I right? Right now, it's just empty.
Right. Well, it's got a pasture in it, yeah.
Right.
And people do bring their horses into it once a year or twice a year or something like that.
Right. But I mean, other than that, we're not getting any use out of it. So I guess, I don't know. It seems like if we've got an opportunity, and this kind of goes to what Mr. Dickinson was saying in terms of property that's not being used, this is, I think, in my mind, I would think pretty similar to a vacant building. Nothing's being done with it.
Well, the property value shouldn't go down. It's got a lot of frontage on it, yes. But just recently, because we don't have wide enough, we have 5 lanes. We have 2 lanes going out, 2 lanes coming in, and a turn lane on that highway. When we bought the property, it was 2-lane highway.
Mm-hmm.
And they've come in and taken slices off of mainly our side of the highway because the other property had a big drop-off on it. And the property, in a way, it's dangerous. They're coming in from 70 miles an hour to a 45-mile-an-hour zone, and it's on a curve. And we've had 2 or 3 wrecks right in front of our property and on down the road that because people are driving too fast and they hit the ice. Now, recently the Postal Service here in Riverton said they'd had some near misses because we only have this much room, maybe, 2 feet or something like that, between the curb and the lane of traffic. So there's no parking on that side of the street.
Well, you answered my question. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Was curious about your take on that.
Oh, I was going to say the Postal Service has moved everyone's mailboxes either up to the road above the cemetery or down to Short Street. Ours is on Short Street. That's where we pick up our mail now.
Your Honor?
Go ahead, Sean.
Hey, first I apologize for not being there. I wish I could be there. It's kind of funny. My very first council meeting I did as a newly appointed council member was when we did the Tractor Supply. And I remember the emotional experience it was. And after it was said and done, you know, I got congratulations from probably a lot of the people that were out there that this was a great community. And I'm just floored how in those 900 and so many days they could be tainted so bad. I was one that did leave this community for 24 years, and I returned. And I can tell you that I've been around the world, and you're not going to find a better community. Everybody's going to have their opinion, and we're all honored to those opinions, so I don't want this turned into a thing. But the thing that I want to share with the people is we, as a elected body, sat down for a couple nights, email conversations back and forth, and we developed council goals and they were published, and I've received a lot of feedback say, hey, we like the stance you guys are taking to make Riverton better. This opportunity that we have to go along with what Councilman Hancock has said is to take an empty lot that is sitting out there, has been empty since I moved there in 1980. There's been a couple of things in there and out, but for the most part, it sits empty. So if we have an opportunity to help and enhance the community by bringing in, if it's another business, then we have opportunity to bring in employment, which is going to help develop. We had Drew Bott from the business right across the place who said he wholeheartedly supports it because it's going to help his business. So at the end of the day, I think that we should, yes, I understand we don't want to affect our house and our comfort zone and everything that we are used to. And, you know, I remember being able to ride the horses down Main Street back in the day because that's what we did back in the day. But it's changed. We're in a different generation. We're in a different era where you're not going to see that as much as you do. So if we have an opportunity to bring in a business right there, which is going to enhance that end of town, you know, why would we not want to do something with that one? I know I've heard it since I was a young man how the Baileys are, you know, they're corrupt and they're doing everything wrong and stuff, but I've known Mike for a lot of years. I've known his family. I know him. He gives back to that community more than probably everybody in that room, and myself included, to support that community. I have been a beneficiary of his donations and what he gives back to the community. And the same thing with George Piplica. It sounded like a lot of naysaying that was going on, and we're all subject to those opinions. But at the same time, at the end of the day, I think we need to look at what's best for Riverton, the economic growth that we're trying to get to, and the community itself, and put our personal feelings for individuals aside. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Mr. Dickinson, you got something more to say?
Yeah, elaborate on Sean. He was one of them that voted it down last time. And, you know, I can see businesses coming in, but all the vacancies that I see, we could turn this into housings up there, but we haven't even looked at that. Nobody subdivided it and actually put lots on there for housing, and that's primarily what it's built for. So I don't understand why we need to change this. If you change it to commercial, you will never change it back to residential. That's all I gotta say.
Go ahead.
Hi. One thing I kind of wondered about is
it's your Steve, is it?
Steve Dickinson, sorry.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
So they're going to have to change the curb and gutter, and as my mom was mentioning, she didn't touch on that. You're going to have to put a stoplight in there. You're going to have to put power in there. You're going to have to put fiber optics in there. I do commercial and residential electrical work. Then you're going to have to put a sidewalk in there. And then you're going to have to put streets down our driveways and through there. Cost effectively, is it going to pay for itself when we already have the roads in and the commercial property in right now, where everything is there? Riverton's paid for it already. Now you're talking, you will not be able to put a commercial place in there without putting a stoplight in. You won't. You will be putting a stoplight in there, or there will be people killed. I'm just saying. That is the facts. Because you have sidewalks all the way up to Smith's and all the way up to Maverick. Now, are you going to put a sidewalk all the way up to the Canal Road on Main Street? On both sides of the road. And then you're going to put a stoplight in there to make that commercial property. to zone that commercial property and put a commercial piece of property in there and make it safe, Riverton will be footing that bill, not Bailey's. Us, the taxpayers, will be paying for that.
Well, I don't think that's correct. Okay.
Really?
Really, yes. I believe that any piece of property that's developed will be developed at the expense of the person who's developing it.
Okay, so he's going to put a sidewalk from the church up to the canal road.
No, but I think that the highway department is going to do that in 2020.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I
All
didn't
right,
know,
so
but we
I don't
will
know
have
how-
to have a light.
I don't know how far up they're going to come with that, but I do know that there's a stoplight that is scheduled to go in at Major, that intersection at Major and Main.
Right.
Okay, so there's going to be a stoplight that goes in there, and they are
Right.
redoing all the sidewalk on Main Street west.
Correct.
Now, how far they go west with that, I don't know. I haven't seen the.
I haven't seen
Okay.
that. I
But-
don't look at your.
But if you have, okay, but the curb and gutter has to get changed or make a driveway.
Right.
Okay? The developer, the person who's going to do that, will have to pay to do that. And he'll have to meet not only city standards, but highway standards.
Okay, well, the way our property is zoned is it's a city street, and then like the two roads that go through the apartment complexes, our pasture that my mom, then you guys would have to bring that through, which comes right through my patio, which,
This is not necessarily the case, okay? Because what happens is, my understanding, and I'm not a developer, and I don't.
neither am I, and that's why I'm asking
Right,
these
but
questions.
apparently, the discussions that I've been a party to are that because this is commercial, then what has to happen is there has to be some kind of separating system between this piece of ground and the residential.
Right.
Okay? And that would mean then that the platted road that goes through your patio, okay, would not have to be there anymore,
Right,
okay?
okay,
All right, so there's changes that take place that would affect your property in a positive way,
right.
okay? So that isn't necessarily,
I like my dirt road. I'm just saying.
well, but what we could do, what would happen is that you wouldn't have to have that connected up with anybody driving through it,
Right,
okay?
right.
Whereas, if it is developed for housing, that very well could become a street. And that's the reason why the petition that was offered to vacate that was rejected.
Okay, thanks. I'm just saying, though,
So,
you will have to put a
It's not
stoplight
that
up.
we are, okay, it's not that,
I lost 3 friends on that corner out there.
yeah.
High school.
Well, I'm sure, and interestingly enough, we've argued that they need a stoplight at Hill Street, and we've.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And
I've sat there 15 minutes also.
All right, and the highway department at the present time says, no, we can tolerate a few more accidents before we have to put in a stoplight.
Right, right.
So that's the approach that they're going to take. So I appreciate your concerns and you know, I don't know, it's a difficult situation, and yet when I moved here in 1975, okay, this piece of ground was barley field.
Oh, I remember that.
Yes, you do. Okay, and so what happens in any community is that times change and development takes place, and the community grows. And are we better because we're not a town of 5,000 anymore? We're a town of 11.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like my brother said, if you go down North Federal, how many pieces of commercial property are for sale? Right behind Wendy's, you got the Kmart closed. There's so many pieces of commercial property at this time for sale.
Yeah.
Why do we need to make another one?
And I guess the thing is anytime you're looking at this, it's demand. And we've got to kind of look where the demand is. And right now, clearly there's demand there because we have property being sold there and we have people that are trying to get the zoning changed.
Right.
I get what you're saying, I really do. And when I first heard this, that was my thought as well, as I was like, why do this when we have other places?
I mean, there's so much commercial property and gas stations and right on North 8th West, right there on Main. Big building.
But the reality is,
Kmart.
Wherever the demand is, if there's demand there, that's what it is. And I want you guys to know that in terms of what a commercial highway district is, there are protections for nearby residential areas built into it that the mayor was referring to.
So they're going to build us a 12-foot
brick
wall?
There's a 6-foot solid fence, wall, and/or shrub planted area shall be installed on the commercial property maintained on both sides by the commercial property owner. Okay? That's in particular. Rear side wall of the building located within 3 feet of the property line will substitute for the requirements of subsection A. That's the wall.
Right.
The fence, wall, or vegetation area shall comply with some other sections there. So, I mean, some of this is built in, and it's not like, for example, they can't just put a pig farm there. Okay, you know what I mean?
I'd rather have a pig farm than commercial.
But the reality is, there's other protections that are built into the zoning. So it's not like it's just a heyday there for everybody.
Yeah.
So there's still protections there. I want, everybody that's looking at this, I understand the feeling.
Right.
But we also kind of, as we're looking at this, we're looking at, there's other options there, and this isn't the first time this has happened, kind of like the mayor was saying.
Right.
So, and I hope you understand, as far as I'm concerned, who it is that's doing this has nothing to do with me.
Don't even worry about who's doing it. We don't want it done.
Well,
and see, the people across the street don't want it done, and I don't think they were paying attention to it because everybody's busy with their lives. But it's, that property could have been zoned. And when my mom heard Lewis came to the first meeting and he said, "How come you guys weren't there?" We went, "Oh crap!" Excuse my language. We forgot, but. Mom was like, "Well, I'll just buy the property. How much do they want for it? $200,000? I'll buy it. And we'll just keep it, and then we don't have to deal with it." And if Mike would sell it for $200,000 and it's gone. There's no reason to rezone it. Thanks.
Can I address, please?
Sure.
My name is Carissa Dickinson, and I just had one question. This was brought up about 935 days ago, correct, for rezoning to commercial. And at that time, George Piplica had it listed as a realtor and was trying to rezone it to commercial. Now, you guys voted it down at that time. Now, since then, Mike Bailey has bought it, and here we are trying to do the same thing. And I just want to know what changed between now and 935 days ago.
Okay, let me talk about this for just a minute. Okay, 3 years ago, when this issue came up, there was a buyer for that, Tractor Supply, and they offered to buy it conditional on it being rezoned. Okay. So this takes a change in city code. It takes 3 readings in order to do this. It takes 6 weeks, okay, for that process to take place, to make sure that people have an adequate opportunity to come in and talk about it and deal with it. Okay, so 3 years ago, we had a public hearing, okay? And Tractor Supply came to the public hearing and said, "This is what we would like to do." Okay. Then we had a few folks in the crowd, and they had already heard this at the Planning Commission meeting. Okay. And the Planning Commission said, "That's probably what that should be zoned at is commercial highway. And so if you look at our zoning map, you'll see that all the way out North Federal is all commercial highway. Okay, so, but you look on North Federal, there's a lot of houses still stuffed in there, okay, and now they're little tiny pieces of ground that are too small to sell for anything because they don't have enough frontage on the road and all that kind of thing. And so you wind up with a piecemeal development because property sells one piece at a time. Okay, the closest that we have come to that is the development that's going to take place with the Shoshone Business Enterprise out beyond Walmart, where they've got a plat for 300 acres. They know what they're going to do with all of that, where the roads are going to go and how they're going to use it and everything. You look just on the other side of the street, and what do you have? Vacant lots and a hotel and an equipment company, and that's because each of those is developed in isolation. Mm-hmm. Okay, and this isn't any different. And so then when the city, years ago, when the city annexed this piece of ground, they tried to set up zoning there that kind of matched what was currently going on, okay? But there was mixed use there, obviously, and Dickinson usage at that time was, I would say, industrial. Mm-hmm. Not commercial, but industrial. Heavy equipment and drilling rigs and all that kind of stuff, okay?
Sure.
Well, but equipment storage. All right, so at any rate, here's this process that we're going through. So we had a public hearing, all right, and the Planning Commission had a hearing. The Planning Commission said, yeah, let's rezone it. So it comes to us, and we had a public hearing, okay? Then when we get to second reading, we started to get more opposition to that. And then during the third reading of that, okay, all the neighbors came in, everybody's mad and crying and making a fuss, okay, over this, all right? And at that meeting, there was not a single person that stood up and said, this looks like it's a good idea. Okay? Okay. All right? Now, this process that's taken place here is they went to the Planning Commission with this, and they had a whole bunch of people at the Planning Commission that said, we think this is a good idea. So the Planning Commission said, okay, well, we'll revisit that and think about it. And they went ahead and passed it on to the City Council with a due pass. Okay? Now, a month ago, we had a public hearing on this. Okay? And at that public hearing, we got no opposition.
Obviously, not all of the people were there that
okay.
opposed it. So.
That's right, okay. So we had, okay, but the property had notice on it, there were signs, there was, okay. So there was lots of opportunity to be involved in that. Then we took it on as a motion, and so we passed it on first reading, okay. So there's people across the street. Last time, we had a petition signed by people all around the property who all said they were opposed to that transfer, and our rules say that if more than 60% of the property owners that are adjacent to it object to it, then the City Council, in order to pass that zoning, has to vote 75% of us or 80% of us has to vote in favor of it. Okay, so we said, this isn't ready to go yet. Right. So this time around, we thought, well, gee, there doesn't seem to be the same kind of opposition to this that we saw in the past. Okay, and maybe the opposition is Tractor Supply. Okay, and I don't think Mr. Bailey's got any plans for this other than the horse pasture. It's investment property. But he thinks that he's got a better chance to sell it if it's commercial highway than what it is at the present time. And there was a comment that's confusing to me. Okay, I've heard this twice, is that the value of this property keeps coming down. Okay? And why is that? It keeps coming down because everybody around it refuses to let anybody sell it. Okay? Now, if it was your property and you wanted to sell it, you'd be mad as heck.
What you just said, though, completely contradicts what he said, what we're going to vote for this because we're going to do something with that property.
Okay, no, that isn't. I don't think that's a contradiction.
To what he said, as far as putting a business in, it is.
So I think, well, no, the potential, okay, is there as for a commercial highway is that it can be sold and it will provide jobs and opportunities for people in Riverton. Riverton will grow as a result of that.
If it's used that way, yeah.
Okay?
Okay,
thank you. Thank you. Mr. Bailey?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. And I guess I would like everybody to know that, you know, I was involved in this back, you know, when the original replat came around. Needless to say, I was taken out of context. And what I really said is at the current time when that failed to get rezoned as commercial, it was zoned residential. And at that time, somebody could put sixplexes on that property, which in my opinion would have been a lot more detrimental to the residential area than some commercial development, okay? So I have no ill will for any of these people. I understand what they're talking about. I went to school with Lou Dickinson and I went to school with Brent Pollard. And, you know, George came to me when he had it listed and the people that owned it were desperate to get rid of it. And I made them an offer and they accepted it. Okay, that's how it all works in our free society. Okay, I did not steal it from anybody. I paid for it. I bought it as purely an investment. I have no contact with any other company that's wanting it right now. So I have no specific plans at all. Okay, I actually talked to George and I said, what would be the best use of this property? And I said, could you go in there and put residential development in it? And he said, no. It's too close to the highway. There's too much traffic on the highway. Nobody wants to put their house next to a highway that has 12,000 cars going by a day. They want to be in a cul-de-sac where nobody except the neighbors drive in every day. Okay? And so it really is not feasible to develop it as residential. Okay? It fits every single item on the CH zoning, you know, list of priorities that they want to have. It is along a commercial highway. It has 12,000 cars a day. That's what people that buy commercial property want, is more cars driving by every day to buy whatever they're going to buy at that store. Okay? I am not going to put a gas station on it. I've got enough gas stations. I got more than I can handle. I'm looking just for an investment. I want to turn around and sell it to whatever the best use for that property is. I want to see Riverton grow, have more businesses, more jobs, more tax base, you know, all of that. That's the only reason I'm doing it. And if Mrs. Dickinson wants to buy it, that would be great. So, you know, I hope that you put it to the use that it should be, which it is along the highway. It meets all the specs as a commercial highway zone piece of property. And that's about all I have to say for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mike, if you've got as much money as they think you've got, would you put a house on that?
No.
Why not? It's a great place.
It's too busy a street. I wouldn't want to have my grandkids playing in my yard with 12,000 cars going by a day.
You're right.
I mean,
Thank you.
That's why I wouldn't be there. I'd like to build a house somewhere, but that wouldn't be the place. So.
Thank you. Council, any further questions? Sean, are you still there?
Yes, sir. No, I think we've beat this one up enough. We should vote.
All right. Okay. So this third reading, we need a roll call vote. Would the city clerk please conduct a roll call vote?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilman Lance Godey.
Aye.
Councilman Tim Hancock.
Aye.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Aye.
Councilman Sean Peterson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Holly Gibbon.
Aye.
Mayor John Baker.
I vote yes. Motion passes. Thank you, folks, for coming. I hope this really, I really hope this works out beneficially for you. I do. I think it will. Okay, council committee reports and council members roundtable. Lance, have you got anything for us tonight?
I've been on vacation for a week, so.
No, huh?
No, I don't think, I got some stuff coming up, but I'll wait till the next meeting to bring those up.
Okay, Tim?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Nothing. Mike?
I was able to attend the Force Committee meeting Monday, and we had a nice presentation from HDR Engineering regarding the Gannett Drive, Davis Lane street issues. So I'm sure we will be seeing something in that in the future. As we all thought, it's going to be expensive, and there's a lot of issues down there, and so I'm sure Kyle or the engineers will be giving us a presentation in the future, but we better save our pennies.
And it needs work. It needs work, though, doesn't it?
And it sure does, yes.
Okay. Kyle, have you got anything for us?
Yeah. I've had several people come to me, and Mr. Maybe's going to be mad as heck, but the hospital had an incident where 2 police officers took a stab wound the individual up there, and they were unable, the hospital was unable to help them. Why? Because they've lost their accreditation on matching blood. So the doctor that's coming to town as an OB/GYN man is going to have a difficult time delivering babies without any blood supply. We've got a very expensive clinic, and I'm sad to say that it doesn't appear that the present management of that facility is really doing what he says he's doing. I have it on very good word from several people that I've listened to on the board that have now resigned from the board, that they're just not moving in the direction that we want them to move. We won't have a hospital. We'll be all driving to Lander. And if that's okay, it's okay. It's 25 miles, but you know, when you need them, you need them. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Sean, have you got anything for us tonight?
Yeah, I'll just kind of piggyback on what Kyle said. I've received several emails, texts, phone calls about issues at the hospital as well. And I keep trying to hope that the current management that we have over there is doing the right thing and is looking at the best interest. I know that we want to tread lightly because they do provide a service and they do provide opportunities for us there. But I think that it may be something worth spending some effort and some time looking into to see if we can figure out if these are just allegations or if they're legitimate facts. But on a positive note, they had the 4th annual Lee Martinez Memorial Battle to Wins baseball tournament in town this weekend. And I received several emails and phone calls. I didn't have the opportunity to be there because I was with my daughter who got married this weekend. But I received a lot of emails and phone calls that said that once again Riverton was a very gracious host. They appreciated the opportunities that they had in Riverton. The hotels were great. Restaurants were understanding. People were pleasant. So I just want to make sure that we let everybody know thank you for, welcoming several ball players and their families to come into our community and to enjoy, some of America's pastime. So thank you to the Riverton community for that one. And I can't say it enough that I truly believe that we live in one of the best communities in Wyoming. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Sean. Holly?
All I have is that it is with great regret that I'm going to have to be resigning off of City Council. I've got a professional opportunity, and so unfortunately, I'm not going to be living in Riverton anymore. My family is actually going to be moving to Cheyenne. And so next Tuesday will be my last City Council meeting. But I would like to say that it has been an absolute honor to be on City Council. I was very naive when I got on council. I didn't have the foggiest clue, quite frankly, what I was getting myself into, and didn't know that there were procedures to everything. I just thought that you did the right thing, and that if you didn't make emotional decisions about everything and you could just stay logical, and it was either right or it was wrong. And that was my only agenda coming into City Council. And I hope that I did that. I didn't realize the amount of work that our staff puts in, and the amount of work that it takes to even get a City Council meeting every Tuesday. You guys are absolutely amazing. All of our employees, I've said it before and I'll say it again, as much as I love you guys, they don't need us. We need them, and they're absolutely amazing. And they make our jobs easier. Contrary to natural belief, we are not as corrupt as everybody believes we are. A lot of changes have happened since I've been on City Council. We've had pretty much a 50% overturn on our council, and I've gotten to know each one of the City Council members in a whole different way. I've known Mike since I was little. My grandpa and my dad and my family knew him. Again, contrary to what some of people's opinions are, I kind of like him. He's pretty awesome, very sweet. But each one of you guys have touched me in one way or another, and I want to say thank you for that. Just like Jonathan and Martin and Lee did. You guys always really accepted me, and you guys made me understand how local government works, and as crazy as it is, I wouldn't change my experience for the world. I am very confident that I'm leaving City Council in really great hands. I know that bringing Tony on board was like one of the best decisions we could have made, and making sure that, you know, we got a great chief of police and everything. So as long as you guys all make sure to take care of Megan, I think we'll be good to go. Mia's like now the superstar of the senior center. Whoever gets it, don't mess it up, or otherwise I'll come back. But seriously, thank you so much for the opportunity. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Holly, for your service.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll see you again. We'll see you next week.
Okay.
All right.
That's good.
Good.
You going to accept it? We don't have to accept her.
I tried to figure out a way that I could like commute back and forth, but for some reason I can't.
Yeah. Well, that seems to be how you get on City Council the first time around, is you get appointed to fill an unfulfilled seat. Yeah, and that's how you came on City Council, right? And
I think everybody in Riverton should at one point or another try it. I mean, granted, my friends all thought I was totally crazy, but like I said, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's been the best experience that I've ever had, so thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you. Tony, have you got anything for us tonight?
Thank you, Your Honor. A couple very brief items, having just coming back. We did, as council knows, and it's good to announce to the public, we did receive our $50,000 grant from the state for our comprehensive plan, master plan moving forward. We're working on the RFP for that discussion, and the scope of work is going to be is a topic for council to consider and review. We look forward to getting that going. We're very excited. It's a big process. It takes some time. So we're very appreciative of the state funding us. So and for council's support on having that as part of our goals. So we look forward to getting that moving. As you know, it's July. We're operating with the new budget. And Thursday, there will be an Air Service Council meeting at CWC at 8:30 a.m. And also on the 17th, I'm going to make sure I'm getting this right, there is a, we have thrown our hat in the ring for a VA skilled nursing facility. I would credit Eric Carr with his good work, getting those letters put together and getting that moving forward. As such, we are one of the communities being considered for this facility. That would be a nice addition to our community. But one of the initial steps is there's going to be an open house at 1 o'clock on the 17th, and I believe the public is invited to attend.
1 p.m. here at council chambers, and yes, please tell, especially our vets, that's who this is going to really benefit. So anyone you know that wants or has interest, especially veterans, please invite them. 17th, 1 p.m. here in council chambers.
And it is important, and I guess I would only like to say this was something that was worked on by some of our former elected officials, specifically Dennis Tippett's brought this forward to me a few months ago, and was when he was on his way to Casper to have the original conversation, and we weren't knowledgeable of it at the time, but we became knowledgeable, and so now we're really being considered. I know there are a number of other communities, including Lander, that have thrown their hat in the ring, but we look forward to putting our best foot forward and hoping to improve our community. At this point, I don't have anything else. I think Public Works Director Butterfield wanted me to point out that France is going to the World Cup, but other than that, I have
it's true.
I'm here for you.
And what sport is that?
That'd be the beautiful game, Mayor.
It's not really a sport, Your Honor.
I didn't think there was a World Cup of baseball, is it? I thought it was called the World Series.
But other than that, thank you, Your Honor. I have nothing else, but I would stand for any questions.
Good, thank you. And so, thanks for, we gave some folks an opportunity to come and talk tonight, and you know, the place for that comment would have been a month ago, 6 weeks ago, in the public hearing. But we still have somebody that wants to talk?
Holly, I'm kind of the odd man out here. This is my 9th summer in Riverton. And like you
need to crowd the mic a little bit, will you?
This place is phenomenal compared to what I came from. And I think you guys, you know, did the right decision with the zoning up there, because you got a highway. Highway's got to have commercial access. I mean, I've seen it over and over again. One of the reasons I left the Socialist Republic of Michigan is we couldn't get zoning. I mean, they would not zone. This is what it's going to be. You could appeal it. Our cost to appeal to the zoning board was $4,000. They made it prohibitive for the general public, common man. We couldn't even get side yard variances. So this is a great place to work and live. So.
Lots of freedom, right?
Yep.
Yeah, true enough. Thank you. Thank you. So at any rate, we did have so this is the second time around, and somehow there's an idea that zoning is like forever. You know, if something's zoned one way, that's the way it's going to be forever. And you know, it changes all the time.
Highest and best usage.
So, and that changes. You know, what are we going to do with a particular piece of ground? That changes. And what we think was a really adequate store in Riverton in 1960 in downtown Riverton isn't adequate anymore. Those buildings don't meet ADA requirements, and they don't, there's all kinds of, they're inadequately wired, there's all kinds of stuff wrong with those old buildings. Were they built to standard at that time? Sure they were, okay? It's just that the standards change. And then and at one time, I don't know, we paid a penny a therm for natural gas, and so you took a building, and instead of insulating the building, it was cheaper simply to get a great big furnace. Okay? And now today, when you have to pay more for natural gas and for electricity, then people think about that and going back and trying to retrofit some old piece of property is very difficult. So I can understand why people are going to move, and you look at the price of something that, say, well, gee, here's this piece of ground sells for this much money, and what are they asking for the Kmart building? Was it $4 million or $11 million or something? Okay, well, that eliminates little guys right away. So then that limits the number of people who can buy into that. So it really is a difficult thing to get things to grow and our community to grow. Okay, so I've got I hope you guys will help me do this, Kyle and Sean. Okay. When Alan Moore was here a couple months ago, he said, if you want to talk the hospital out of Riverton, you can do it.
Don't want to do it. I want it to stay.
Okay, but if what we do is use our positions to talk about what's wrong with everything that's going on there, then eventually the only thing people will see is all the stuff that's wrong. Okay. Okay. If, on the other hand, we talk about the stuff that's good that goes on there, and there is stuff good that goes on there.
That's right.
Okay. Then we will get people to be interested in the hospital and to believe it's a positive force. Okay. So, so what do they find in the ER 2 or 3 years ago in Lander? They found some dirty tools. Okay. That turns out to be the big news item on the front page. Okay. Now the fact that they've met that accreditation for the next 3 years without any difficulty at all. Okay. What they had to do was re-educate one person.
Geez, that was expensive.
Okay. And yet they still live with that. Okay. So I don't know about the problem that we see here tonight, okay, but I wish we could be really thoughtful about that and spend some time trying to build the hospital and instead of being critical of it, because it's a value to our community. It's an important part of Riverton, and we want to keep it here and as viable as we possibly can. And part of the problem they are faced with is that you just can't staff a building of that size, okay, with the number of people that are currently living in Riverton who are needing to go to the hospital. And so some things are going to disappear. They just can't put together the team to keep it all functional and be accredited and do everything that they need to do. And so they got to share some of those services. Now, when the population of Riverton goes to, what, 15,000, when the Manita Divide opens up, then what's our problem in Riverton going to be? We won't have enough beds in the hospital. See?
Your Honor.
Okay. And so the challenge for us will be that right now we're kind of in the slump. We need to keep that here and functional and working and make those guys feel like we're glad to have them in our community. And they are a private company, okay? And then try to be prepared for the day that comes when they won't have enough people to make it work. They can't hire it.
If I could add to your comments, I did have a conversation with the chairman of the board of the hospital, and regarding, for example, the OB issue that we had in Riverton. Okay, it wasn't because the hospital didn't want to have an OB over here. It was because they couldn't find enough OB nurses and enough OB doctors. And so I don't think it's, there's times when you come to my business and want to get your car fixed, and I have to put you off for a week because I don't have enough skilled help to take care of as many cars as there is sometimes. And so, I think the more we can make Riverton a better place to live, and if the economy starts kicking in, which I see signs of it doing, again, I think you're 100% right that we're in the bottom of the slump, and we've got to build for the future growth, and that's what it'll take. And I think as those times turn around, there's going to be more doctors and nurses, and they're a business. They want to bring people in, and they want to make money.
I understand what you're both saying, and I believe in your hearts you're saying the right thing.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we have had a majority of our physicians who have gotten old and retired and moved. The younger physicians that have moved in, because there wasn't a place for them in Riverton, are in Lander. The Lander physicians are controlling Riverton's hospital.
Yeah.
Now you can code it any way you want, but that's the way it is. And unfortunately, we have a hospital, 2 of them, in a county that's owned by one company. And I don't want to say more.
Well, but that in essence is what we've got. And so, I guess most of the other hospitals in the state of Wyoming are public entities.
Well, I don't want to own. I've got an airport already.
There you go. Okay. Okay, so there's enough to do all the way around. Okay. So there's a new ENT coming to Riverton.
That's right.
Okay. Dr. Bovey, and so my wife has worked with him and thinks he's a great guy, and he's excited to come to Riverton. And they've got an ENT in Lander, and they're going to trade back and forth, and so that's here, okay, and the guy comes with some great talent, and so when you're in a car wreck, okay, and all your facial bones have been smashed, okay, Dr. Bovey can stick them back together, okay, and he'll do it in Riverton, okay, all right. So there are opportunities, okay, there are opportunities for us to help build and work on that. And I know that if we've got concerns about things, I just think it would be better if we took up those concerns with the CEO.
I will do that.
Thank you. Thank you. And we've got a lot of activities coming up in the next couple of weeks. Holy cow. This is going to get busy right away quick, isn't it? So, are we going to have lots of balloons, Eric?
Yes, Your Honor. We have probably, well, for sure 18, the potential for a 19th balloon. Somebody's tagging along with another pilot, and why not bring their balloon? So,
hey.
Yes.
All right.
We do have our pins which you will be getting at next week's meeting.
Okay.
Just got those today.
Okay.
So, Day in the Park is this weekend. It will be at CWC.
Up at CWC, because we don't want to do, let's see, there is something that I probably could announce, and that is the 18th. So that's a week from tomorrow is going to be the annual Peace March that takes place here. But rather than try to, what they've done in the past is meet over at the Kiwanis Park on Adams and First Street and then march down Main. They're not going to march this year because of the construction and everything. They're just going to gather at City Park at the band shell and have a few speeches. So Ron Howard, who organizes that thing, was wondering if someone from the police department could be there, Chief.
Your Honor, that is correct. We will have people there.
Okay, and someone to speak is what they'd like to.
Yes, Your Honor. Yep.
Okay, all right. And so then, so there's that activity to participate in, and then we've got a pretty full calendar coming up. So I guess I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayor votes aye, and we are adjourned at 8:37, huh? 38?